Hello, I'm Andrew Jupin.
Eric Siska.
Chris Gavin.
And we hate this movie. Welcome to We Hate Movies. Thank you for tuning into the program. This week, we are continuing what is now our traditional worst of the previous year month. So it's the worst of 2013. And we are here to discuss a movie you might not have heard of. Didn't exactly get a theatrical release. Not a big blockbuster spectacular. Not a lot of write-ups in the press.
What?
That's right. Easy Rider, The Ride Back. Directed by Dustin, Rikert. I'm really fighting the urge to just go take a shower.
I fought the urge while watching this to have an aneurysm. Like, it's just one of those situations where you really just question what's going on in your own brain.
It's true. You might actually go insane watching this.
I think you might, right? Because it's one of those things where you're like, this is so impossible. It's so impossible that this exists. Like, this isn't a thing. I must be making this up. I made up finding the DVD. I made up putting it in my DVD player. I made up what I'm watching right now. Like, it is such an impossible thing, but it exists. That's the reality.
It changes you, though. This might be a little inside New York baseball here, but if anyone's seen those posters that were on the subways, and they might have been elsewhere too, of abortion, it changes you.
Yeah.
Like you there's all those pro-life ads that are like, abortion, it changes.
I didn't know that.
That's what should have been on the poster for this. Like,
Easy Rider, The Ride Back. It changes you. Yeah. Like, Easy Rider, The Ride Back, it'll ruin your family. It's possible. I don't know.
If they wanted to get the, I mean, it would probably only play at the Quad, but like, if they wanted to get
talk about New York inside baseball.
I don't think the Quad would play this.
The Quad's got some fucking standards, man. You couldn't pay him to play. I mean, we're going to get into what goes on in this movie and the wrongheadedness of this movie, but really, folks, what we're doing right now is just expressing like how impossible it is that this exists.
Well, it's those things where, remember when in the 90s, I think it was late 90s, early 2000s, where people were talking about how they wanted to do the prequel to The Godfather with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
And I was just like, it can't happen. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to allow this to happen. And it's my feeling about, like, if they were trying to do The Conversation 2, or,
Oh, Enemy of the State.
Or, yeah.
But you know what? That is a good movie, I think.
Yeah,
it's an entertaining movie. It keeps you going. It's a Sunday hangover movie for me.
It is a Sunday hangover movie. Now, we did a lot of Will Smith bashing last week, so we can't really be getting into that.
Hands off.
Yeah.
So we'll get into some Jeff Fahey.
But you're right, though. There was that trend of, like, we're going to do prequels and sequels to, like, all these classic movies. Like, oh, what happens if Jack Nicholson goes back to Atlantic City? King of Marvin Gardens 2? Why not? Fuck it. Like, this is such a dumb ass thing to think is a good idea.
Well, no one asked for this. Like, at least Godfather, I think they still did, like, some other guy did some books about it, and like there
are non-Mario Puzo books.
And it's already been done 3 times, and you've already had one that was bad enough that people were like, what's the worst that could happen? But Easy Rider is like a standalone thing, totally counterculture, like an independent, amazing movie that came out in 1969.
Like one of that handful of films. And this episode might wind up being a gigantic commercial for the BBS Productions box set that Criterion and Janice put out.
The lovely box.
It's great. It's really amazing. Like
it's great. You got what King of Marvin Gardens. You said 5 Easy Pieces, The Last Picture Show,
Head, Easy Rider 1, Drive. You said Jack Nicholson's directorial debut,
and the Place, is it?
I think that's
In a Safe Place. Yeah, I mean, these are amazing movies that quite literally changed the scope of the American cinematic landscape.
This is New American Cinema 101, right?
Exactly. It's film school in a fucking box set. Like, I know that's the Criterion like Eclipse logo, or their motto or whatever, but that box set is film school in a box set. And this movie takes that box set out to a field And this movie pulls its pants down and takes a big steaming dump all over American film history.
Well, when you know something's wrong, when both Hollywood and society at large says no to something. And they said no to the idea of us bringing all these 70s movies and 60s movies back into the limelight and being like, yeah, let's do this again. This, I read on IMDb, it's labeled as a revisionist drama.
You know, that word revisionist is just slung around anytime someone makes a douchebag bad idea of something, and then it's like, no, sorry, it's not directly related. It's just revisionist.
I also feel like that's sort of like IMDb or whoever wrote that being like, this isn't canon to the original Easy Rider.
Yeah, you know what? This is the never say never again to the actual James Bond franchise.
It's a perfect way to put it.
You know, I never thought I'd say this, but thank God Dennis Hopper's dead.
Oh, yeah. Clearly.
What do you mean?
Because if he fucking lived to see this movie...
Oh, he'd be dead again.
Yeah. He'd be dead twice over. Dude, he's fucking spinning in that grave.
I want a movie where Dennis Hopper finds out about this movie, and then he's wired a motorcycle to explode.
Call you a bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, and that's it. Notice how we keep saying Dennis Hopper and whatnot. I can't really give a shit what Peter Fonda thought about this movie because he's in Boondock Saints 2 All Saints Day.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so
he
that
doesn't
credibility,
give a shit.
you know, whether or not he even knows that this movie exists.
Dennis Hopper is not clean.
No, but he's dead.
He did crash the series. He's definitely not clean.
I'm not saying his hands are angel white, baby.
But
I'm just saying, you know.
He definitely is above Fonda, and he directed Easy Rider.
Yes, exactly.
And as much as it would give me a heart attack if it ever happened, The Godfather at least calls for, it's such a wide span of people. It's such a menagerie of characters that you could have a lot of backstory and you could go off on these little individual movies with these different characters. Who the fuck ever gave a shit about where these two guys came from?
Well, yeah, and then it's like all the characters in that goddamn movie die. It's like, why do you need to do a sequel, prequel, or anything?
And that's the other thing about it. It's such a backdoor way to approach this, right? So we can get into a little bit about what this movie is. So the movie is told from the standpoint of Peter Fonda's character's younger brother, whose name is Morgan
Williams.
And it's Chris, you said that this fella is like a lawyer
He's
from
a Cincinnati lawyer who must be a bajillionaire.
Not the character, the actor.
Yeah, the
actor
yeah.
and the writer of this Drek.
Yes,
I'll say it. I'll drop the D's.
Yeah, it's Drek. Don't worry. It's clearly like this passion project or something. This dude's got a bunch of money floating around. So it's told from the perspective of this dude Morgan, which, by the way, Eric, you rewatched Easy Rider recently for this. I saw it a couple months ago when I got that box set. But aside from the scene of Peter Fonda when they're tripping on acid in the graveyard in New Orleans, where he mentions my mother, he says, my mother. Mm-hmm. There's no mention of a family of any kind.
I don't think so, because I think he cares about
present.
Yes, about freedom, about self-expression, about being your own person, about being one with what, the greatness of America, which is this movie kind of perverts into like a conservative angle, which is the craziest.
I guarantee you this guy calls himself a libertarian.
No, that's exactly what I said to Eric. Eric and I were texting about this last night. This movie is it's got a real super libertarian bent to it, for sure.
But Wyatt Williams, Fonda's character,
right,
I don't think was libertarian. I think
no.
they were flirting with hippie culture. That's a totally different apple.
Totally. I mean, and that's the whole conceit of Easy Rider. It's like these dudes who are counterculture in and of themselves, like the biker culture, venture off into the American frontier and encounter hippie culture and experience what that is and let that take them over. That's
right.
What that movie. That's the climax of that movie.
Going with the flow, you're just your own person there. You're experiencing your environment, and that's all you need to be, And then the hippies are doing it their own way, and the bikers are doing it their own. And that's great. But the difference is the libertarian would judge. They would do that, but then they would judge every single person they came across.
I mean, we can't get to this. And to quote Steve Sadak, I couldn't write down all these lines.
The script in this movie, and you could put Brando in this movie, and all of these lines would not fly. It's insane. It's insane. It's one of the worst scripts ever,
and some of the worst acting ever.
We're shooting. Look at the fucking movie. It looks like garbage.
You see this in HD, man, are you going to see some nasty saddlebag leather skin?
There are some catcher's mitt faces in this movie. But so here we go. We got Morgan Williams, Wyatt Williams' younger brother. He's been living in Mexico since the Vietnam War. Okay. He's been living down in Mexico. He's involved in dealing weed down there. He's made kind of a nice life for himself.
But he also deals in fine leather goods?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. So the flick starts off. He's like, my name's Morgan Williams. I had a brother named Wyatt. You might remember him as Peter Fonda in this classic movie that this movie is not. And all they can show, by the way, is the bike wreck footage. Notice there is not one actual appearance of Peter Fonda. There is not one shot of Dennis Hopper. There's none of their likenesses.
Right.
The closest you get is the tail end of the movie. There's the helicopter shot. You see the bike wreckage, and then Fonda's body. You can kind of see Fonda's body like off on the side of the road, but definitely not enough to make out that it's Peter Fonda, which to me is like clear. Like, okay, you want to make this dumb little movie? You're not showing my fucking face in it.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he even got the rights to show any footage from the original film.
Yeah, you see like his like American flag, like Captain America motorcycle, like the shot where it shoots in the air.
And here is a big hunk of bullshit, okay? Now, Morgan Williams down in Mexico has like he found the bike that Wyatt had that, was partially destroyed, and has rebuilt it and recreated it, and he now has it down in Mexico. And the jacket or whatever, or he
also stole his jacket.
Right. But here's what I'm thinking, like, okay, so my older brother in 1969 gets murdered by hillbillies who probably got away with it, who probably just,
definitely get, there's no witnesses.
And then by the time word gets back to whatever goddamn ranch this place is that the family compound is on, and then I have to trek all the way down to some parish in some backwater Louisiana. What are the odds I'm going to get that motorcycle?
No, you're not getting the motorcycle. No. You're not getting that jacket.
No,
you're not doing it. And
especially if you're young, you're this younger kid. Like it's not happening. You're not going out there. You're not dragging this motorcycle across the country.
I just imagine Morgan like on his tricycle is behind Dennis Hopper and Williams just like, I'm coming. Oh, you're all dead. Oh, you were shot dead. Oh, okay.
So there's also Peter Fonda also has a sister.
Yep.
So the sister comes down to Mexico and she's like, hey, Morgan, you've been living down here since the whatever it is, the early 70s, the late 60s, when you and Dad had a big falling out over Vietnam. You have to come back because Dad's not doing great. And this dude's just like, no, I've got a life here. It's pretty great. I've got my Mexican wife, got a couple of kids. I sling weed. That's what I do.
I deal with a cocaine dealer for some reason.
He's there. There is just some Mexican drug lord in this movie. It's a real high up in society type thing,
and it comes to nothing.
It's just zero jack shit.
And this sister actually has a line when they're down there in Mexico about how the father never knew about Peter Fonda's like drug stuff, and it's just like, okay,
great. Well, all right, that's fantastic. Hey, that's terrific. Like, who cares?
It's just, I don't know. It's to me, it's just like, I don't know, man. I just
you are so flabbergasted by this movie, folks at home. Eric is shaking his head so much with talking about this movie.
Well, can we talk about when I thought I was hallucinating when I watched this movie?
Uh-huh.
Within the first 5 minutes of this movie, the movie begins with it's footage of is it Fonda or is it just the guy?
Not Fonda. That's the thing. That's the other thing about this movie. This dude, I feel at some point in this guy's life, the star and the writer and producer of this movie, someone told him that he kind of looks like Peter Fonda. And now here we are 23 years later or whatever, and he's made this movie because he's on the motorcycle dressed up to look exactly like Peter Fonda and Easy
down
Rider.
to like every knit. Like
Yes.
it's just
The hair, everything.
So yeah, this was his own bike, his own jacket that he
he
had
bought
at
everything, I
home.
think.
Yeah,
yeah, this dude's an Easy Rider super fan.
so Phil Pitzer is this guy.
Yeah.
He's driving, and he's doing the narration as well.
Yeah, I had a brother, Wyatt, blah,
yeah,
blah,
just
blah.
to
He
remind.
got
Oh,
killed.
yeah, have you ever heard about Easy Rider? Yeah, this is what fucking happened to everybody. And like, I'm like, okay, that's fine. And like, he's describing what happened, and at one point he says this.
The sky was crystal blue, just like 9/11.
Holy shit!
Like, what? What? I'm sorry. Wait, you know what? You know what? Hey, hang on, everybody. We got to hear that again.
The sky was crystal blue, just like 9/11.
Yep, no, that's definitely what he said.
Yeah.
He said that a day, they were murdered on a day with a sky as clear as it was on 9/11. What the fuck are you even talking about?
Like-
are you kidding me?
I couldn't believe I was like, I had to talk to you guys in the middle of the day to be like, can somebody check this? I'm not sure if that actually happened because they couldn't have that low taste. I mean,
Just like on 9/11. Like, what are you fucking saying by trying to invoke 9/11 in the intro narration to your dumb movie?
let me get this straight. The death of a fictional character, fictional as all get out, equivalent to 9/11, kinda.
They were murdered on a day like 9/11.
Just shut the fuck up, dude. And it sets this. I mean, and the line sets the stage for the rest of the movie, really.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, this movie is all, pro-veteran, which, there's nothing wrong with being pro-veteran.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that comes up a lot. There's a lot of like serving your country stuff with, again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with any of that. What's wrong with that is trying to put that in the context of a movie with Easy Rider at the front of it. It doesn't.
It's the counterculture. And then you have
so flabbergasted.
and then it's just like, oh god, no! It's like oh that the definitive counterculture blockbuster,
Yeah.
Easy Rider. Oh, if you like that, you might like the sequel, the all-American patriotic pro-establishment movie, Easy Rider: The Ride Back.
Yeah. Oh, why?
Because he's a libertarian. You're right, but he also fashions himself a patriot.
Oh yeah.
And you got to mention 9/11. You got to mention the Iraq War. Well, you know what? Hey, man, say what you want about the war,
Oh god.
but don't you ever badmouth a warrior.
And that,
It's-
what's amazing about that line, right? You say what you disagree with the war, don't disagree with the warrior, or whatever that the line is. The thing that the character is responding to is nothing that's anti-armed servicemen
That's
and
the
women.
thing is-
There's someone says something, it's like blah blah blah.
We should get out of there.
Oh, that's
It's
what
a
it is.
we should
That's
You
get
should
what
get
it is.
out of the Middle East.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, hey man, lay off the soldiers. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're saying that you don't want the soldiers there. You're saying the soldiers should be home and safe and not in battle. No. Hey man, say what you want about the war. The warrior's off limits. Like, just shut up.
You know who else? Hey, don't you dare badmouth Lyndon Johnson near me.
Well, because that's the other thing that
Even though I'm a draft dodger who's giving you goddamn shit for not being hoorah supporting all these kids dying in the Middle East for nothing.
that's what's great too. It's like, listen, if you want to make a movie about a dude who's like a super patriot who goes out and he starts like harassing people that are, anti-government and anti-war and anti-this and that, that's totally fine. You're within your right to make that movie, but that guy cannot be a fucking Vietnam draft dodger. He just can't.
Here's the thing, like even though it doesn't make sense that he's a Vietnam draft dodger, but I think they mention it offhand even in Easy Rider that Peter Fonda's character is like, oh, he's Captain America because he's got the the bike and the jacket. It's like it's alluded to that maybe he was like an Evel Knievel type or a stunt driver or something,
Right.
but that doesn't necessarily mean he's actually Captain America. You don't have to live up.
Yeah.
You don't have to act like your brother was
He's
America.
a fucking drug taking, drug dealing, like motorcycle
He
rider.
just cared
Who
about fucking grass, ass, and fucking taking a little LSD once in a while and chilling out in the fucking beautiful countryside, looking up at the stars, not having someone to tell him what to do every day.
maybe, just maybe, he was being a little sarcastic.
Yeah,
Maybe,
exactly.
just maybe, he
Yeah,
was being a little sarcastic.
Oh yeah, I have the American flag on my motorcycle. Call me Captain America.
All right then.
Yeah. All right. You said Captain America. That's your nickname now, Wyatt. Good
Where's
for
your
you.
shield?
Oh man. I mean, and by the way, if it is true, and again, we're making all sorts of assumptions about what is his name,
Phil Pitzer.
Phil Pitzer. Like, we don't know the dude, but presumably he's a massive Easy Rider fan, right?
Yeah.
It's a massive something.
Talk about just missing the point of the thing that you might love to pieces.
Well, it's some, like some members of like the baby boomer generation. Once again, 9/11 happened. That clear blue sky happened.
Oh yeah, I heard there was a clear blue sky on that day. I think I learned that from Easy Rider: The Ride Back.
It's like Dennis Miller, you know, like all these people changed on a dime.
Yeah.
You know, they're sort of thinking about it differently, and then you know these warped minds are looking back at the '60s. Not good, man. Not a good mix.
And here's the thing. I know plenty of guys who like going out on the weekends and riding their motorcycles around, and that's what they do. And that's just fine.
Whoa, you're friends with a biker gang?
Not a gang.
Dude, can we hang out with them? You didn't tell us you're friends with a biker gang.
Dude, man.
No, you guys don't have club jackets.
I need some AK-47 stocks moved
Yeah.
cross country.
I'll talk to him.
All right.
I'll talk to Rib and the other boys.
And see if I can get a deal on the, you know.
You were saying about your biker friend.
So there are
Sorry.
there are people who do that, but this is one of those things where like it's about recapturing, like they really take it as like it's recapturing your fucking masculinity and it's fucking going out there and being a goddamn American motherfucker and like that's the whole and that's what he took away from Easy Rider was that you're supposed to be an American motherfucker.
You're supposed to be a man American.
Yeah,
a mannequin. Oh, no, not a mannequin. No, I'm not a mannequin. I meant a manly American. Oh, the whole thing's lost.
Oh, now they're trying to put me in Macy's.
It's
I
kind
love
of,
that some rednecks is like, I am not supposed to be here.
I mean, the original movie was just like, hey, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
And then you take away from it, I gotta be an asshole.
I'm gonna make, you know what? The movie preaches to me not to be an asshole. I'm gonna go ahead and make a movie in where every single character is just a gigantic flaming asshole.
Which brings us to Jeff Fahey.
Perfect transition.
Uh,
Jeff Fahey, who we are all fans of on this
yeah,
show in one
of
way or
course.
another. You know what I'm saying? I always bring up Captain Frank Lupitas from Lost. I mean, the Body Parts is a fun movie too. You know what I'm saying? But what are you doing?
Well, we should set up. So Morgan is being dragged back to his home ranch.
Well, so the sister says, listen, Dad's not doing so hot. He's moving in with me. The sister has married some rich businessman and they have a bunch of houses, which the dad hates because the dad's he's a veteran of the big one. And he hates that this dude's a super businessman, hates his stinking guts.
Why?
I don't know. He just he hates that dude. That's
Was he a Nazi?
Listen, nothing in this movie makes sense.
No.
He hates this prosperous American businessman.
I think because like he was like American farmer, and now we got to take it back for the land.
Yes, I believe that's
I
what.
think
Yeah,
there's
you're
some
right.
of that.
You know,
There's
what's
a
going
streak
on
of
here.
that in there.
Yeah. So she's like, listen, Dad's living with us now at the ranch. His birthday's coming up. It might be his last birthday. She's kind of playing the death card a little bit here. She's like, the least you could do is stop slinging weed in Mexico for a week. Come up, say hi to him. They've had this big falling out. They haven't spoken in 40 years or whatever the thing is. So she leaves. He's like, no way would I ever do that. I'm never speaking to that man again. This is his acting tone, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I will never do that. Here's some reefer. Smoke it if you want. I'll be out back.
That's actually better than his.
Oh, thank you. So she's like, fine, do what you want, asshole. I'm out of here. So then he decides, in a scene we don't see, he makes the decision that he will make the ride back.
Which, by the way, this is about 15 minutes into this movie, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's where the credits start.
Yeah, there is. It's a shitty thing where we're doing this like cold open setup, and then the credits happen, and you're like, we didn't really successfully set anything up. Yeah, I guess that's a cold open.
I mean, I'm not.
I guess you know how to make a movie.
Well, we showed him some Mexican fireworks and whatever, Easy Rider.
Yeah, get ready for it. Here you go.
So he's on the road, and he's on the road. You know how we know he's on the road, by the way? With some classic, we didn't have to pay a lot of money for it, fart rock. Some good old-fashioned American fart
music
crime.
in this movie.
I have a big old note that says fart rock. I'm glad we're all on the same page.
And again, take Easy Rider, filled with amazing American music.
Yeah, some of the best music ever made. And granted, that's, they licensed it when it was coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
But, my God, why are you making a sequel to a movie that has so much to do with the music without, you're never going to have any good music in it?
I mean, this is just nothing karaoke hall music.
I think he just corralled all like the Cincinnati cover bands to write some original material.
I mean, I looked at the music credits, and it's the same dude that did 3 songs. And that's just the shit you hear through the whole movie. Except for one astounding rendition of America the Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Which
we'll
get
to that.
But I mean, the music in this movie, it's like, okay, now I need kind of a loose, like, the journey's just starting kind of rock song. And that's exactly what that song is that plays out. Okay, now I got my buddy with me on the road. Now Jeff Fahey's with me, so we got to have some kind of little bit of a harder rock. No, you know what? There's not enough fart rock in that sound, though. Could you fart rock it up a little bit more?
And all the lyrics always have to do with directly what's going on in the scene.
Yeah.
There's this scene where like Jeff Fahey and Phil Pitzer meet up, and they're getting on their hogs and they're getting ready to go. It's like, meeting friends again, it's so fucking awesome. We're getting on the road,
bar, drinking lots of whiskey.
And by the way, Jeff Fahey, we are introduced to him in the middle of what looks like a mountain biking.
Yeah, no, it's
awesome.
It's like a dirt bike ring.
A dirt bike clinic. He's teaching little kids how to race dirt bikes. All I could picture was that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer's taking the karate class with like all the little kids. Because Jeff Fahey tries to ride this track and totally wipes out. And I just pictured Kramer like, we're all on the same skill level, Jerry.
And I mean, Jeff Fahey at some point in his life must have listened to Inagata Devita at like 11 because he's screaming this entire movie.
He's just, and I think one, how much can Jeff Fahey possibly care about this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's just doing this movie. There's probably not a lot of pay in it. It's like, yeah, you get to ride a motorcycle for a couple weeks, whatever.
That's what I thought the key was. I thought he was just a motorcycle guy. He's like, oh, you're going to pay me to fucking act like an asshole on my motorcycle for, what, an hour? Sure.
Well, apparently he's also friends with the director, though, possibly, because he's in, what other picture is it?
Oh, the director also directed a Gary Busey movie called Ghost Rock.
It's like a Western.
It's a Western. It's one of the worst Westerns ever made. It's possible. Stay tuned. And Jeff Fahey, yes, is in it.
So, maybe that's got something to do with it. Who knows? He might be friends with this Phil Pitzer guy. Like, come be in my movie.
Ghost Rock came out in 2003, I think. This movie started filming in, 2007?
2007.
Yeah, by the way, that's how you can tell it's a sign of a classic movie. It's been finally aged on the fucking shelf for several years before we get to 2013.
So Jeff Fahey is also he's filling in for Dennis Hopper's role.
Which is why I think he's trying to be like, even though Hopper is not wild and loud Hopper in Easy Rider, really, I think he's just
he's aging him appropriately in his head.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, okay, I'll be like, the most recent Dennis Hopper. I'm going to be a loud, crazy guy.
And by the way, Jeff Fahey's name in this movie, oh God, is Wes Coast.
Oh, just stop it. Just give it a rest with that.
I
West
get it.
Coast, everybody.
You don't have to beat me over the fucking head with it. I get it. I really do.
What is he, one of these rap artists?
There is an amazing scene, though, where this dude Morgan's like, so Wesley Kostarsky, or like whatever his real name is. And he's like, hey man, please, I don't want to hear that name. It's like, just shut up. And the whole story of how he got the nickname was like he got on a dirt bike riding circuit like in the 70s, or it's like the early 80s or something, and he became like a dirt bike like motocross star, and he just changed his name. What the fuck?
Okay.
It's just great.
just like my brother did when he went by Captain America.
That was a good time for America.
So the whole thing is, listen, I'm going to see my dad. Hey man, you should come see what my sister's up to, because you guys used to have a relationship. Flashback to softcore pornography.
Yeah, I thought it was a flashback to a porno they made. I thought that's what they did for money in their 20s, is what they just fucked in a garage.
That would be more interesting.
Yeah. It's like the fucking scene in the Love Actually when Martin Freeman and the girl are having all the like pretend sex. I thought it was something like that.
Like, it just cuts to this chick getting railed on a motorcycle, and I'm like, what does this have to do with anything?
Oh, they're so in love.
Memories, man. Back when America meant something.
Now let's try to get an accurate count here, because the amount of storylines in this movie is out of control. Because now here's where the movie splinters off. Okay, so we have Morgan Williams and West Coast, and they are riding. Morgan's coming up from Mexico. They're going to make the ride back all the way to wherever this sister lives, okay, for the dad's birthday. Gonna settle the dust, make up with the old man, all this horse shit. So that's going on. Meanwhile, the old man is moving in with the sister.
Old Hickok.
Yeah, old Bill Hickok is this character, everybody. Fucking Wild Bill Hickok.
Whoa, he is really old.
He's like the grandfather from Texas Chainsaw. He's 200 years old and survives on blood. So this old puss bucket's moving in with his daughter, and he hates his son-in-law. He hates that he's been taken from his home. He wants to die on his farm, not live in this fancy McMansion that you're so graciously taking me in and giving me free food and shelter and making sure I don't die in a puddle of piss on my own bathroom floor.
I was fine being homeless in Austin. Why did you bring me here?
It's communism. Putting clothes on my back. Plain old communism.
Give me a sheet on my bed. What?
How fucking dare you?
Give me a stick. Put me in the desert. I'll make it.
I have no daughter.
All right. Take away one of my hands. I'd rather that than you give me a hot meal.
So this old codger's moving in. So it's that, but then like the codger.
It's all flashbacks.
Well,
it's all flashbacks.
Because now we had storylines from him. We get flashbacks of him in World War II. And it's like, you know what Easy Rider never did? Took the fucking point of view of a demented old man. Why am I seeing the vaguest of Nazis in the world? Why? What?
I didn't even know. I wasn't certain it was a Nazi.
I was like, is this Korea or not?
There is nothing worse than a vague Nazi. You're either up in front and open. We're here. We're Nazis. Whatever.
Well, you couldn't afford the swastikas, Paul.
Yeah, they could not license swastikas. I feel was
It's
the
just
from the Hitler estate.
We are big fans of Easy Rider. We do not believe in your project. I'm sorry.
So this old man, right? So he's all pissing and shitting himself and hating life. And then in comes Rance Howard, who is Ron Howard's father. He's in every Ron Howard movie. You've definitely seen this man in 100 things.
Fucking awesome in Nebraska.
Yes. Oh, man. Talk about opposite ends of the spectrum as far as Rance Howard movie roles this year.
Yeah.
So in comes Rance Howard, and my first thought was you see a motorcycle coming up the drive. Dude takes off his helmet, and it's like one of those tilt up, right? Like we're going all the way up.
I thought it was Ghost Rider for a second because when that skull came out of that helmet, but then it turned out it was just Rance Howard.
Well,
coming to take you.
Like the helmet comes off, and it's just Rance Howard, and I was like, does Ron Howard know that he did this? Like, Ron and Clint got to get him like in a facility, or he's got to move in with Ron or something. Like, how on earth was he allowed to do this movie? Does he even know where he is right now? I felt so bad for him. Like, I love, like, Rance Howard is like Hollywood's grandfather. Like, everybody loves Rance Howard.
Not anymore.
Here he is slumming it in this movie. So Rance Howard, okay, is an old army buddy of the dad's.
Yep.
And the dad doesn't want to see him. They apparently haven't seen each other since World War II. Okay, they haven't seen each other since the mid-40s. And when Rance Howard walks through the door, this old fuck's like, meh. Nah, I figured it would be you. Like, really, dude? You haven't seen this person in 70-odd years?
Not
Like,
a member of your family, another member of your family since your birthday's come up? You didn't think that might happen? Really? It's this guy you haven't seen since you were in the shit.
So then Rance Howard like sits down, and the whole thing is like the daughters called him to be like, listen, if you come up, maybe tell some of the old stories, reminisce. It'll get dad kind of on the right track. You know, he'll feel better about living here with me. So they just start telling war stories. But then after they're done war reminiscing, they want to keep talking. So then he's like, okay, so then I had all these kids. And let me tell you about my first kid that went off to Vietnam. Oh, wait, but before that, I'm going to tell you about his life as a teenager in the bopping fucking 60s.
So
Like,
now we have to deal with Virgil Williams. Or
so
whatever.
he's the oldest,
oldest.
son. So he's Peter Fonda's older brother, and he's the one that the dad loves, and he's the one that made the military career.
But before that, even it starts with him. Old Hickok has to explain to us who Old Hickok is.
Oh, that's right. His life after the war, getting the farm built up. Like, I'm getting exhausted just talking about all the storylines in this thing. Why do we need all this shit? You know what was great about Easy Rider? It was two dudes on the road, and eventually they picked up Jack Nicholson for 20 minutes.
Well,
like,
now you know where they're coming from. They were trying to escape this movie. They were trying to escape this horrendous family, apparently.
like what about the Easy Rider story felt like empty to this person, right? Like, you know what it needs? It doesn't just need two old lifelong friends on the road together. It needs one of the friends' father telling 4 different fucking stories around a kitchen table. That's what Easy Rider was missing, honestly. Like, what?
It's not a Robert Altman movie. I don't need to see every perspective on the decades leading up to this.
Oh, man.
I mean,
what?
Eric is obviously correct in that Easy Rider now has a little bit of urgency. You know why they're fucking really hauling it down the fucking state highway.
Well, yes.
They're getting away from this shit.
Yeah, exactly. They're escaping what they know is coming later on. It's not just escaping because there's drug money going on or whatever their initial motivation is there. But yeah, just all of these intertwining stories that, by the way, makes it really confusing to follow.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing like there's watching bad movies, but then there's watching a really incomprehensible bad movie.
And you know what's confusing about Easy Rider? Nothing.
Not a thing. Not a fucking thing.
So I'm glad they kept with the spirit.
Yeah.
Huh?
About as clean cut as a fucking movie can get. And this movie, where towards the end of the movie is 98 minutes long. It feels like 9,800 minutes long. And
it feels epic. I mean, speaking of Robert Altman, it's as long as Nashville.
Oh,
it
well,
feels like it.
Honestly, this is spanning what, like from the 40s to present day.
Yeah, like
it feels that long.
1943 to 2013.
When I put this movie on, Hitler was in office. We were fighting him overseas, and then when I turned it off, Barack Obama was president.
I'm gonna tell you, 88 minutes into this movie, I didn't know who was Morgan and who was Virgil. I had no idea.
It's really,
I thought
it's so super hard to tell.
There's no reason to do this. Why? Okay, listen. All right, you want to give Peter Fonda's character a brother. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe you should stop there. Oh, you want to give him a sister? All right. But do we need the older brother who did everything right?
By the way, the older brother who doesn't appear in present day but is alive. Like let's talk. I think the way to possibly break this down a little bit is to go by the characters, right? So here's Virgil. Virgil is the oldest son. Virgil is the one that's very interested in the military. He wants to be a career army man like his father. He excels in boot camp and is immediately selected to do special forces shit. He goes to Vietnam as a sniper.
AKA a California parking lot.
yeah, just a parking lot with a whole lot of fake
There's
trees all
a couple
over the
palm trees, some dirt on the ground, a couple leaves. Yeah, you're in Vietnam.
It's 2007. There's still a Virgin Megastore in the background.
There's a more convincing Vietnam flashback in the film Kill Crazy.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And that's back when movies were hard to make, right? Like this movie shot on a piece of dog shit, like digital camera. Like anybody can make this movie. This is
it looks
worse
like a
than,
soap opera.
Yes, yeah,
and it's acted worse.
It is. It does. It feels like the Thornbirds is what it feels like. It feels like this big sprawling story of this fucking wealthy family, except for it's a shitty family.
It's the shittiest of families.
In a fucking shitty ranch in the middle of nowhere.
With the shittiest of cinematography, the shittiest of acting.
It's lit like a softcore porno.
It
like,
is, and
if it actually just turned into softcore pornography, like if someone, it's like that scene in Caligula, right, where like they just ridiculously peer through that hole in the wall, and it's like two chicks fucking each other. Like if that happened in this movie, it's like, well, all right, that's totally feasible because that's the level that we're on with this movie.
Old Bill Hickok in this movie has more makeup on than Jenna Jameson. It is. Ugh.
Now,
so Virgil, I don't
now
lose this.
Here was my question: Is
Yeah.
Virgil the one who has the rich girlfriend, or is that Morgan when he was younger?
No, that's Virgil.
That is Virgil. Okay.
Yes. So Virgil, we'll start at the beginning with Virgil.
Yeah.
Virgil, he's a high school baseball star.
Ooh.
They're very poor. He's from the wrong side of the tracks. Falls in love with the rich girl from the rich high school.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then they've got like a secret romance going
Oh,
on. It's very
yeah.
sweet. He rides a motorcycle to pick her up. The parents don't
yeah.
approve. Blah blah blah. So then we go one night. They're going on a date. And Virgil drives her on the motorcycle out to this like abandoned house, lights a nice fire. They're making out. Like
It's like a gazebo, like in a park. It seems like
it's a park gazebo with a fully functioning fireplace. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, it's before the war. We were allowed to have this back when America was free.
It's like the gazebo. It made me think of the gazebo and where the troublesome daughter in Uncle Buck is hanging out when Uncle Buck first comes to get her in the middle of the night. Made me think about that a little bit.
You know what? Easy Rider could have used Uncle Buck.
Oh, man.
Shove him in.
If John Candy just broke down the door in this movie in some capacity, that would be fantastic.
And impossible.
Yeah. And impossible.
R.I.P.
Well, maybe him and Dennis Hopper, like a ghost squad.
I would love
Crimes
them
Against Cinema
to come back as furious poltergeists and burn down this dude's house.
I would applaud it.
So Virgil takes this chick out to this gazebo, lights a fire. They're about to get down and whatnot, and then all of a sudden, this biker gang rolls up.
Oh man, I've heard about these.
Yeah, right. But they're bikers, right? It's Easy Rider, the ride back. Everybody loves bikers, right?
How can they be bad?
How can a biker be bad? Bikers are the heroes of the movie.
Are they?
So then here comes these three bikers, these fucking big bearded fat dudes. And surprise, surprise, everybody, a talentless hack made a movie where there's a huge rape scene in it. And it's not just any rape scene. They pin this woman down and they gang rape her. And then they turn to the dude and say, "Don't think we forgot about you." Nice artistic fade to black.
You are making it sound so much nicer than it is. Because folks at home...
I mean, I'm trying not to be vile because this is fucking vile.
It's not vile to quote a film. So...
Never thought Prince of Tides would have a light touch, by the way.
Hey, I think you broke her cherry.
Is what this dude says.
And then he's like, "Oh, don't forget about pretty boys over here." So now Virgil, if you're following me, Virgil's now getting his cherry busted.
So that happens, and because of that, this guy decides to go to Vietnam because his life's been ruined back home. Which is interesting because
apparently she's untouchable now to him.
Well, she goes off and marries like the rich
rich guy.
Oh, she took the easy way out.
Well, probably because his presence is a constant reminder of the horrendous thing that fucking happened.
That's also possible, yes.
And how he couldn't keep her safe. He took her to an unsafe area. There's the deck stacked against him. Yeah.
So he goes to Vietnam because his life's ruined.
Yes.
Right. So the dad thinks that this is like this great patriotic move. Like, here's my son serving his country. No, he didn't tell you that he was gang raped by motorcyclists and is fleeing the country.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go defeat communism.
No, he's just running away from painful memories.
Well, Bill Hickok to me, it's the same voice as the rapist bikers, yes. That's who he is.
So he goes
Similar.
to Vietnam, and he's on a special assignment in this one California parking lot scene we have, where there's a sniper who's been taking out all of these, American troops. So he's got to go in as the trained U.S. sniper, and they're going to raid this one area of the jungle, and he's supposed to take this dude out. So it's like a really shitty war scene. They try to advance. They get shot,
One guy gets shot down. Hilariously, this dude gets his thumb shot off. I love this addition. Like, I still can't believe we're getting multiple war flashbacks.
Yeah. Multiple war flashbacks and 3 different wars discussed in this movie. Because Hickok's grandson is currently serving in Iraq. So that's the scope. Everybody's loving war in this movie. So
I don't even think the original mentions the war much.
It doesn't. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like we're so counterculture. Like we've removed ourselves from that issue, more or less. You know what I mean? And again, this is nothing about being like. It's not bad to be a patriot. It's not bad to serve in the military. But
just don't call yourself Easy Rider when you do it.
Yes, exactly. So he's in Vietnam. He's doing this thing, and he finds the sniper, and he blows his brains out. Goes up to check out what's going on, and lo and behold, he's murdered a child.
Good job.
Worst effects ever, too. I mean, I've seen better.
It's a watermelon exploding.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, they pour watermelon juice on a leaf, and it's like, look, he got shot.
So it's also grainy, like it's overexposed, and it looks like garbage.
You gotta find some way to make it look like a hot jungle.
And of fucking course, he has the hard ass like black sergeant telling him like, "Yeah, you got to do this, buddy." Like it's so you don't have to fit that many cliches into 90 minutes. You really don't. I know you want to, but you don't.
So then the whole thing is like this dude comes back from Vietnam, and he's like rattled. He was never the same. And then all of a sudden, it's this insane Charles Bronson revenge movie for about 3.5 minutes. We cut to Virgil. He's back in his hometown. He goes into the local bar looking like fucking Assassin's Creed with his hood
Looks
up.
like the fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes, he's got that camo hood over his face. And he actually asks the bartender about the specific guy by name.
Yeah. Yeah, is this dude here? Whatever the guy's
He's like,
name is.
He's in the bathroom or whatever, right, or something.
So he's like, have a Bloody Mary sent over to him, and I'm like, you're really laying it on thick.
Here's my face. Just take this all in before I get the drink.
Well, his eyes are slightly covered, so no one would be the wiser.
Of course.
And this whole bullshit thing is like, this dude the lead rapist goes to the bathroom. This Virgil comes in and he fucking cuts his throat with piano wire.
And he says, "You won't be popping any cherries anymore," or whatever.
Yeah, some line. Yeah,
he's like, "Your cherry popping days are over."
Yeah, and then just kills this dude, and then just walks out of the bathroom, walks out of the bar, and there's nothing.
No, never a prosecution. Nothing.
No, we're told that the guy's like coming to this old bastard's birthday party. There's no like, I wish Virgil could come, but he's in jail forever.
I think I just realized something. Okay, Easy Rider, they get killed. No one cares. This guy gets killed. Murder wasn't a crime until after Vietnam.
There you go. Yep, that's the one.
Until way after Vietnam. I mean,
like 88 maybe.
Carter did it.
First he criminalizes murder. Then his brother puts out Billy Beer. This is really unfair.
A tainted family. So then we have Morgan?
Well, then there's Morgan, and Morgan's whole thing is he's
Wyatt's older than him, but we know his story.
We already know. But in case we didn't, we're brought up to speed in the first few minutes of that movie before he fucking mentions 9/11 for no reason. Just so everybody still remembers that little tidbit.
And am I wrong in thinking there's a young Wyatt, yes? In like the jacket, and he kind of looks like the singer for Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, no.
He totally does.
Yeah. There is a moment of him like smoking a cigarette being like, sketching on my pad here. Harley Davidsons are the best motorcycles.
So-
Great characterization.
The whole thing but we do see, that's the thing, man. This movie is the gift that keeps on giving. You thought you loved Peter Fonda's character in Easy Rider? Well, you love it even more because this movie fleshes out stuff you didn't know. Like, so the matriarch of this family blows her brains out one day, to which is blamed on the fact that, well, they just didn't know about postpartum depression back then, so she just blew her fucking brains out.
That is literally the voiceover. And no. What? That wasn't even Andrew. That was a clip. That's exactly how it sounds.
So we're told that Peter Fonda's character left town and did not attend the funeral, left right before the funeral. And the biggest piece of horse shit taking a dump on this character's memory, aside from this entire movie, is they're getting ready to have it's like the morning of the funeral, and the grandfather, the father, is saying, like, you know, we all knew Virgil was going to leave before, or not Virgil, Wyatt. We all knew Wyatt was going to leave before the funeral. He told us that much himself, blah, blah, blah. It has the audacity to place young Wyatt, young Peter Fonda, sitting in a cemetery in an above ground mausoleum thing, just like mirroring the LSD scene. It has the audacity to be like, remember that great disturbing scene in that movie? Well, here it is, kind of too. He loves sitting in cemeteries.
Remember when he was tripping out on acid, hugging a wall? Well, he was thinking about his mom.
But you didn't know that.
I don't give a fuck.
I really don't.
And the thing about that scene in Easy Rider is that's Peter Fonda actually thinking about his actual mother who had recently passed. Like, that's all like real shit. And then this garbage pile of a movie is like, hey, we're gonna take that and repurpose it and kind of just give you a little elbow to the ribs about it.
Well, because the performance does all the work in Easy Rider. Like, it's the direction and the performances that really drive it. The writing, I mean, it matters, but it's not. It's more about talking, and it's not so much about getting to a point.
No.
This
and it's
movie,
also kind of travelogue. It's
exactly.
and it's got beautiful scenery of a lot of different locales of America. And this movie, no,
it's discussion
nothing.
of big ideas. In this movie, it's just like, well, you could think about it, or you could just believe what we say, and like.
You know what? Don't form your own opinion. Just listen to some more of this fart rock.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you have to do.
And around the time that woman kills herself, like old Bill Hickok in that narration there talks about, you know, how God, country, and love once meant something, and like how it was another. I'm getting sick and tired of this expression of, well, that was another America. Like it's like a completely different thing. No way connected.
When white men could do whatever they damn well please.
Exactly. And here's the part of the problem also with a movie like this is it's made by a guy who thinks that the 1960s revolution was another America. It was just told when I was young, that's when it mattered.
The 16th century was the high mark as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's just this bullshit idea of like, it was okay to think that way then, but that was another America. This America that we're in, you can't possibly have those same values.
Yeah, because, you know, civil rights, am I right? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what makes that America so much? I mean, I'm sorry, it's another podcast. It's a different podcast.
It's a 4-hour-long different podcast.
Eric Siska's hate purge.
Yeah. So I guess the gist is like the 1960s murdered this family.
Yes.
Like, oh, she had to blow her brains out because, you know, we didn't know what
scientists didn't find out about the postpartum.
Yeah. Fuck them too.
And by the way, it couldn't possibly be that this woman's married to this horrible idiot. You know what I'm saying?
Suspect number one is you.
Oh no, it what? Yes. Oh, postpartum depression. That sounds like what my wife may have had. Like, yeah, maybe she did, and clearly that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But this guy is so like, I just gave her everything, and she still killed herself. Like, come on.
And then in the flashback, we see him with Morgan, who has become a hippy dippy.
Oh yeah.
And by the way they show Hippy Dippy is a bunch of blacklight posters being like zoomed into and like not Janis Joplin, like Fanny Joplin.
It's
The
Janie Jimplin from 30 Rock.
The understanding of drug culture that this movie has is like your father busted into your teenage room being like, cut it out with that, smoking that racket. You know, it doesn't embody, it doesn't understand it. It has no, it doesn't try to.
It's all summed up in a Hot Topic blacklight poster. Like that's all it is. Because like we're introduced to young Morgan.
Glad my brother died for that.
Yeah. You know, we're introduced to the young Morgan. He's getting it on with his girl. Janie Jimplin's playing. There's 4 different blacklight posters with mushrooms on them. You know what I mean? And then like this kid comes in and he's like, "Get out of here! I'm trying to fuck your sister." And he's like, "Oh, someone just delivered this for you." And it's his draft card. So, of course, we have a draft card burning scene, everybody.
And he's just screaming and hooting and hollering about the whole thing. And his father wearing one of the worst fake mustaches I've seen in my life. The thing is coming off.
They aged the actor playing the young father so poorly. It's just one bad Halloween costume after another. It's so fucking terrible.
Well, because you can clearly see the piece of tape curling up from the sweat.
It's coming off.
And like you're just like, come the fuck on already, man. Any effort. I would have loved it. But no, he's burning his draft card, and right then, disownment.
Yep, that's it. Get the fuck out of
You're
here.
a traitor. Get off my land. You don't understand what America is.
And by the way, and you, Chris, you mentioned this on last week's episode when I gave the hint for what this movie is, when you said, don't think it's More American Graffiti. More American Graffiti, which is a bad movie, at least has its head on its shoulders and knows exactly what kind of message it's bringing to addressing something that, you know, occurred several decades after, or, you know, a decade or so, 15 years, something like that. You know, for those of you who haven't seen it, More American Graffiti is all about, you know, like Ron Howard's character, you know, is going to all these Vietnam War protests. Richard Dreyfuss's character has dodged the draft and gone to Canada. It's a very anti-war Vietnam movie.
Are there flashbacks to World War II in this at all?
Unfortunately not, and that's what makes More American Graffiti bad.
Any prequel stuff in there? Like any Bob,
you know what?
Bob Falfa as a little kid?
You actually get Bob Falfa's grandfather in the Civil War fighting for the Confederacy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you get that.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I guess yeah. That's why he was a dick.
A lot of gray coat action in that one.
I mean, like, I can't believe I just used More American Graffiti as an example of a superior film to something, because it's not a good movie, but at least that knows what it's trying to say. Like, this movie has so many mixed messages that are just like butting heads with each other. Well, it's embarrassing.
It's the stoner conservative thing. It's like one of those things where like, man, we don't really care what you think, except for here's the thing: if you don't like war, go fuck yourself. Like, that's kind of what's going on here. Is because one of my favorite lines, it's the burning the draft card scene, and the son says, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it."
Right.
Famous quote. And makes his point completely clear. And the father said,
"You have no right to quote a great patriot. Smack, you traitor."
How dare you quote somebody who completely makes your point clear and concise?
What?
That's the thing, right? And that's the whole horrible argument that this movie is making, is the people who say like it's impossible to love your country and be patriotic but also be anti-war.
Love it or leave it.
Exactly, right?
Love it or leave it.
But it's the same shit, right? It's like I say, you know, we should have pulled out of Iraq. We should never been there. Oh, I hate my country. Like that's the thesis.
Hey man, calm down.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah. Hey. Well, calm down.
Did you just say you hate America? You hate your country?
That's exactly what I said.
Well,
line for line.
It's a good thing we got listeners abroad.
So we're kind of done. So we're done with Morgan, the past story. We don't really, and of course, because the only real, you know, major female in the cast, of course, we don't hear anything of what Shane Williams.
Shane, the sister, the daughter, you know, whatever. She just got married to this fucking
Yeah, it
bajillionaire.
happens. Things happen.
But the only thing we know about her prior to that, we do see young Shane, is when she's in her relationship
getting bopped
with West Coast. You know what I mean? So by the way, back to West Coast and Morgan Williams, man. So they're on their road trip and they take a little stop off in what is the most ridiculous scene in this movie. Of all the things we've talked about and stuff we still have left to wrap up, this is the most ridiculous, embarrassing, out of place, wrong-headed scene in this movie.
Here's the thing. You could be talking about 4 scenes right now.
All right, well, let me narrow it down a little bit. So they're on their road trip, and they pull over at the Salton Sea, site of one of the most greatest examples of pollution and us destroying this world, right? So the narration is like, we pulled off at the Salton Sea, site of greatest environmental atrocity, blah, blah, blah.
You could see it as clear as 9/11.
So then he's saying like, West Coast decided to take a couple of winks on the bike. I decided I'd go have a look around. And it cuts to someone singing America the Beautiful while this jackass just walks around picking up like fish skeletons.
It's like cutaway shots.
Yeah, it's
corpses.
B-roll of like just cartoonish fish skeletons.
It's an
Heathcliff,
environmentally charged
whatever.
music video starring Heathcliff.
Well, it's a garbage dump, and I wish it was the Cadillac Cats, but this is a Heathcliff level movie.
No. Heathcliff
would be above this.
he turned down this movie. Actually.
Right. That's
So
why we just got the fish bones.
He was the first choice for West Coast.
Look, I want to get this goddamn animated cat as my Dennis Hopper surrogate. What is so hard about that?
I just watched Roger Rabbit. You can do it. I know it.
He's just poking some kid in the chest. Do it on the computer. Do it.
Use your fancy pewter box. You make me a goddamn cat.
I know it's another America now. You can do it.
You can make Paul Giamatti look like a human being. You can definitely do this.
How great would it be if this movie, his sidekick was just an animated cat and no one acknowledged that he was an animated cat? That would be fucking
That'd
great.
be great. And then the animated cat, Heathcliff would be like, "Remember when I was fucking your sister?"
Yeah, exactly. How awesome would that be? It'd be like fucking Howard the Duck. So he's walking around and like they sing the entirety of America the Beautiful.
And it's a terrible rendition.
Yeah. Let's
really get that on the record.
It's garbage. It's not doing the song any justice. We play the whole
I
thing.
literally hated America after watching that.
This movie makes you hate America.
I'm sorry, it does, yeah.
So it ends and he just says something like
We really have to do something for this nation.
we got to start taking better care of this planet, man. Man is what he says. There's a lot of mans. Like this guy's still saying man, even though he's got no business doing that.
I think Fonda said something similar to that in the original, but it wasn't fucking so hammy.
It's so hammy.
Well,
dude.
that's also why I didn't know he was Morgan, because Jeff Fahey keeps calling him man. And he keeps calling Jeff Fahey man. The only reason I know that Jeff Fahey is West Coast because his fucking name is West Coast.
That's right. It's so incredibly stupid. It's impossible to forget. You know what I mean? Their last name is Williams, so that's instantly a million people in this country. You know what I mean? And then we just have the Morgan, Virgil. Who could possibly care? This movie does what I do in real life, which is like if I've met you and then I don't remember your name, hey man, how's it going? Because I don't know who the fuck I'm talking to.
That helps a whole lot at work.
You know what? Exactly. I'm living in a world of nothing but mans.
But why, when you're making a movie, you can't be calling 4 different people man in a movie.
Well, that just that's a little
just cash,
tip,
man.
Well, it's a tip of the hat to a film called Easy Rider that we really dug.
So can we talk about you? That's up there. But can we talk about my least favorite moment, or just the most stupid moment of this whole movie?
Oh man,
is when
drum roll, please.
They stop off at the side of the road, and I think it's the warrior moment when the guys talking about war. There's this, I guess she's a waitress, and she just is hanging out behind them, and all of a sudden she says some comment like, "Oh, I'm a biker too."
Oh, this is when they go to West Coast's buddy's place,
Well, no, they go. This is what happens.
Are you talking about the chick that scores him weed?
Yes.
Yeah.
What happens is they go that. They're like, hey, you know where we get some weed around here? A little puff puff?
Where can a couple of old guys score some reefer? And she goes, well, we call it pot. And then Jeff Fahey goes, pot. Like it's some fucking, it's a huge surprise. Like, oh, pot. I've never heard of that before.
Vernacular used on the fucking front of Time magazine.
So she goes into the diner's kitchen and gets them some oregano, and they're like, oh, this is great.
That's great weed. I really feel like I'm smoking a pizza.
But this should tell you about all you need to know about this movie is that after this, they're like, oh, yeah, I just got to go get it. For whatever reason, for the next 2 minutes, I'm watching like her driving her motorcycle because she's, I guess, the most attractive woman on screen in this entire movie.
Ooh, a girl on a bike.
And there's like this song about like, she's the wind and she's fucking going through the air, motherfucker. Like, it just.
She's going to get us pot.
And she's gone in a minute.
It's amazing. They fucking leave her at the place where they got the weed and they just keep going.
You know what you do when you smoke weed? Talk about Iraq.
Yeah, nothing better than sitting around stoned just arguing over geopolitical issues like that. Yeah, yep, exactly what you want to be doing.
You don't discuss what season Family Matters really dropped down.
You know, it was probably around the time Urkel started dressing up like his cousin Myrtle Urkel.
Yeah, I believe so.
Hey guys, I got to stop on this road trip. I would like to highlight too, because that's not all the places they go.
Yeah.
They go to a titty bar.
Oh,
pretty early on. They go to a.
That's like the first thing to do because Jeff Fahey, I can't understand the first couple words he says on the motorcycle. I can't understand what he's saying because the fart rock.
The fart rock's at like 12, and they are talking. They're not even yelling. They're talking at like a 4.
Yeah,
over motorcycles and over fart rock.
And all I heard was what titties.
Yeah. So then you get your gratuitous breasts all over the place.
Yeah.
This movie has more than Easy Rider,
and of course there's a scene where Jeff Fahey has to defend the honor of a table dancer.
Yep, that's right.
They get into a bar fight because
there's a really dumb ass joke in this scene too. So like this, basically what happens is, it's a bar. I don't think it's like a sanctioned strip club. There's just like women dancing on this bar. And Jeff Fahey's clearly a regular because he walks in like fucking Norm Peterson and like, West Coast, woo! And so he's like, drinking whiskey, brr, 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 I barely speak, brr, brr. And he's just going on, and they're drinking whiskey, and it's a lot of like, hey, man, haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, man, it's been a long time. God damn it, whiskey and boobs, yeah. And then this dude...
Hey, that's counterculture, everyone.
And this dude comes up, and he's getting like a little frisky with one of the women, and she's like, get off me, you pervert, and whatnot. And then Jeff Fahey just cracks this Jack Daniels bottle over this dude's head, and it doesn't break. And then he does it again, and it doesn't break. And then he's like, oh, it didn't break. Well, that only happens in the movies, I guess. Like,
man, he said that, but he's in a movie. He's in a movie, and he said it only happens in movies, but it just happened.
It's pretty meta, isn't it?
And then my fucking head exploded.
Counterculture.
By the way, before they asked that girl to go score him some weed, they've gone to this place where it's West Coast's ex-motocross rival. Okay, this is what happens. So they're on the road, and he's like, oh hey, this fella I used to know, he's on the way. I haven't seen him in a while. Let's pass by. And it's this dude, he's got like a compound where he feeds homeless people.
Oh, yeah.
And he tells this whole story about how like him and West Coast were like motocross rivals. And then this dude got into an accident and he couldn't race anymore. And then he basically just goes through this thing where he's like, and then he was diagnosed with cancer. And then the doctor said he wasn't going to make it. And then he beat the cancer. And you know what? West Coast was with him the whole time. And you know what? I can't wait to meet him. Like that, you know what? You don't believe me? You don't believe me? You don't believe me? Here.
Later that year, he was diagnosed with cancer and given only a few months to live. Rikert beat the cancer, and Wes was with him every day, round the clock. Since then, Rikert's been given back, and I can't wait to meet him.
Oh yeah,
That's
listen
fun.
to that, just atonal nothing.
Fucking who cares?
And this guy is such a terrible actor. This guy that plays the buddy, that when he's delivering his first few lines, I thought he was trying to speak in like iambic pentameter. Like he's delivering these lines like on a beat, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a weird thing for this person to be doing, but whatever. I guess that's a character trait. And then he just stops doing it. And then I was like, oh no, he's just the worst actor I've ever seen.
Well, he's also clearly one of those actors who's really, really scared of looking directly at the camera, because he's always like trying to twist his head, like kind of out of like.
I mean, I think he's just
Looking
a
around
dude
kind of
who's
thing.
not an actor like
Yeah.
most of the people in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to look?
They all work at the firm of Paul Pitzer in Cincinnati.
It's all his lawyer buddies.
It's like, hey, you like Easy Rider? Want to help ruin it?
That is the pitch, right?
Yeah.
It should be, you hate Easy Rider, you want to help ruin it.
Yeah, show those pussies, those goddamn hippies.
So we should talk about one more thing before we get to the finale,
Okay, go ahead.
and it leads right into the finale.
Notice how I mean,
I
a lot
think
of
I know
the
what you're
time,
talking
a
about.
lot of the time, people are like, "We love how they just go through the movie."
We kind
I
of
mean,
can't with this.
it's
I'm
impossible.
sorry.
I don't know where
It's
we
really
are. It's
impossible.
it's like we're doing this in the dark. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I just have no. This movie is just a bunch of twists and turns.
I mean,
dead
it-
ends.
to tell this, to try to go through from beginning to end with, it would have to be like an Ocean's 11 type situation where we have 11 people discussing 11 different storylines and then making fun of it on their own time.
And it turns out that this whole movie was just a ruse for us to rob some Vegas casinos.
While you're listening to this, we robbed your house.
Andy
Yes.
Garcia is fucking pissed.
He's so pissed.
There's no movie. There's no movie at all.
Gotcha. It's fake. It's a fake movie. Man, I wish that could be the case.
Yeah.
I wish we could just come clean and be like, we got you, everybody. This movie isn't real. But you
know
know
what
what?
the thing is,
It's
if-
so real, it's dangerous.
That's the thing is, if we made it up, it'd be better. It'd be more fluid. There'd be like we wouldn't be stopping and starting and yelling and being frustrated.
I really-
Wilford Brimley would star in it for some reason.
I really don't think Virgil would be involved.
No, because it's not a character you need for fuck all anything.
So,
Yes.
one of the flashbacks.
I'm sweating.
When one of the flashbacks with old Hickok when he was a young man. They're listening to the radio, and it's like the Williams family around the radio,
Yeah.
and Jackie Robinson has just done something.
He's just
Was it
been
the first? Was
yeah,
it-
he's,
oh, okay.
he's been integrated.
I didn't know if
into
it was
white
just a
baseball.
game that he was listening to. And
Well,
then
I
just-
don't think it's supposed to be like that moment, but it's
Okay.
like at that time, Jackie Robinson has now started playing in the White League.
And he goes on this whole fucking tirade about how like Jackie Robinson is should really, really, it should really instill passion in the white man. Like it's a whole weird fucking thing where he's like, he can teach us a lot of stuff about ourselves, about us.
Yeah,
And
how
you-
we're fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what is this? What's going on
Oh,
here?
I think we're an America ended and another one is starting.
I think that's what what he's trying to teach his children is if you want to end the era for a country, do something as revolutionary and brave as Jackie Robinson did, and then you'll just stop that country and start another one. like I don't even know what inspiration this dude is drawing from Jackie Robinson's story.
It's like a last ditch effort. Let's get on the civil rights bandwagon,
let's bring
which
that in too.
which is a big a big thing, and it should, I don't know if it should be addressed in this movie,
It's
but
just vaguely. It's just like vague. That's the thing. It is in this movie just vaguely inspiring. But it shouldn't just be vaguely inspiring.
No, but I
Yes.
think it's a little bit of the motivation of putting that in there is to be like assuring the audience, the three of us that watch this movie, assuring the audience that no, this guy, while being a curmudgeony old fucker, isn't a racist. which I feel is like the one thing where that character could go either way on. So this is the dumb half-assed way that they're like, yeah, he's not a racist.
He's not entirely terrible. He can tolerate, them.
I mean, he hates
That's
people who don't
kind
want
of
to
what
get
it
shot,
feels like.
but he's
Yeah.
okay with
He'll hate his own son's guts for standing up for what he believes in, but he draws inspiration from Jackie Robinson, so it all balances out.
And when finally Morgan touches down,
Yeah, when the ride home has been completed,
touches down at the ranch, it's brought up again, and there's a very this is how he tries to get back with Hickok.
Right. Initially, the old man mistakes him for Wyatt because he's wearing and driving Wyatt's. He's wearing his clothes and he's driving his motorcycle.
He's got his haircut. He's kind of just pretty much
He's
stolen
got
his
the
identity.
scarf around his neck. Yeah, he's really just he Ripley'd his own brother.
I think Morgan was one of the rednecks in that truck that killed him.
Oh, I bet. That's why he got the bike. Oh my God, he's not even related.
Yep, dude, he's just the fucking gunman.
I bet he is. And then because then that cool jacket and that motorcycle was right there waiting for him. And then the real Morgan came out looking for that stuff. And then he got his throat slit. And now he goes down to Mexico for 20 years. And then suddenly this his sister comes snooping around, right? And he's like, "This is it. She's got millions.
Got wise.
No. I can do this. I can blend in.
I can be him.
I can act like a robot enough that I'll fit in with this family." So he goes up there, probably to get a piece of the action.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I don't know how much Hickok is leaving everybody.
Fucking not a red cent, dude. It's all going to the local VFW.
So while Hickok and Morgan are talking, Fahey and Shane are off.
Shane is the name of the sister.
Yes, are doing their
They're
thing.
busy rekindling.
Yeah, that's
something.
I guess. Remember that porno we made, huh?
Hey, remember that time we fucked on that motorcycle and I filmed it? You did what? Anyway, I'm back.
Remember Biker Butts 12? Top seller.
So you're married now, huh?
What's that like? That's
Too bad.
Well, geez, you're married? The day Shane Williams got married. Whoa, hey, one America ended then, too. It's fucking ending America's.
You happy or what? He's got to be loaded, right? I mean, he's got to be loaded.
I mean, my balls ached about 2 decades ago, and I was like, you know what? Either another Titanic is happening or Shane Williams got married.
and thus Lynn New America began.
So when Morgan first comes up, yes, he's mistaken for Peter Fonda, and then he's like, "Oh, it's you," and he like,
well, but why is the son that ran away to do drugs on the road until he died? Like, why is that son better than the one that stood up against Vietnam?
And that's the great mystery to this. But I think the answer to that is the person who wrote this movie is such a fan of the first movie, even though he clearly has no idea what that movie's about, that he cannot, under any circumstances, vilify one of the heroes of that movie
because they're messiahs.
So he's off limits. He's totally off limits, even though his lifestyle and life choices go against everything that this father stands for, right? Like, Wyatt didn't go and serve in Vietnam. Wyatt ran away and didn't even attend his mother's funeral.
He moved to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And got in good with guys with beards.
He became a drug dealer. And this dude's like, "Oh, I thought you were your angelic brother Wyatt, but it's just you, the draft dodger."
I believe he actually calls him a godless piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's one of the actual lines.
So the guy's like, "Listen, Pop, I know we've had our differences, but remember that time you told us that story about Jackie Robinson?" And he just goes into the thing and he says everything that the dad told him, and then somewhere manages to work in the N-word, which what the fuck are you even doing? Maybe that's to keep the old man's attention. I don't really know what's going on.
It's possible.
But so he's basically like, "I was listening to you the whole time. I've always listened to you. I've led my life based on your beliefs." And then the dad is just like,
"What?"
He's like, "Well, all right then. And that's it. 40 years of disgust and hate just melt away.
And they hug, and it's beautiful.
And then he lets the dad drive the Captain America motorcycle.
Oh, yeah, right. The guy's in a wheelchair half the time.
Well, I guess we're not in America anymore, in Obama-America, so...
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's a different America, too.
And we have the narration back where we started, and he's talking about how
9/11.
shockingly he doesn't manage to fucking shoehorn in another 9/11 tribute. But he's talking about like later, like dad went on the ride, and like they're driving motorcycles, and he's like, and later that day, Virgil came over to the house. We're going to have a party. And West Coast tells us that he's got the greatest fucking surprise we've ever seen. And then he says, the last line of this movie is just, if there's one thing I hate, it's fucking surprises. Fade to black.
As if it were an action movie.
You know what? This movie was a fucking surprise. Oh, God.
Yeah, as if it was an action movie. The dude should have also said, and all this time, I wasn't even supposed to come to work today. I'm on vacation and all this shit happened. And we're like, what? Like, what are you even talking? Like, so Jeff Fahey, who doesn't get a final sign off in the movie, says that he's got some surprise. What? He lives miles away. They've been driving for days. He has no connections to this town. What surprise could Jeff Fahey, West Coast, possibly have? That's not weed.
Well, it turns out that after the 9 months after the porno was made, he sold their kid for like a good $1,000. And he's going to give her the cut finally, I think.
Here's your $500 for a child we had that I sold apparently.
I don't know what.
I think that's his surprise.
I mean,
God.
and this movie just, it doesn't even end with glorious shots of like motorcycle riding. It just ends with them just on the farm. And it's one thing I hate. It's fucking surprises.
Well, I mean, I would kind of love it if they were, if he said that and they were like riding out, and then like all of a sudden like a helicopter with Jeremy Irons comes down and he's shooting at him. Because then maybe you can hate surprises, because that's a fucking surprise.
That's a huge surprise, man.
And I just thought of something. Healthy White Baby. Yeah, you're gonna get more than $1,000. Jeff
well,
Fahey's
back
probably,
then though.
No, I think even back then they're
Really?
pretty. I mean,
you are the expert on this stuff, so
I'm telling you, man, it's not cheap.
all right. My price point was off.
Eric himself was sold for $10,000, I believe, was the going rate.
I was raised by gypsies, partially part of the time.
Yeah. That's why you like rags all the time.
I do.
And potatoes.
I'm partial to rags and potatoes.
And sleeping under bridges.
And I love our old gypsy curses that I grew up
Of
with, such as fuck
and thinner.
and thinner.
These
You gotta say it with the gypsy.
of course,
accent.
yeah. And you got to twist the hand a little
You
bit.
do have to twist your fingers.
Thinner.
You got to get a little more action in that, I think.
The fuck.
The fuck.
The fuck.
Gypsy curses. And so that's just the end of this movie.
That's
What
it.
a piece of shit.
That's your 98-minute movie. Take it.
You know what? I'm going to say it right now. I think this might be the worst movie we've ever done. I've said that before, but
We
I would
say it a
watch
lot.
Nuki over this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, easily. But the thing is, we haven't said that in a while. We've actually we knew to take a break.
Yeah, we
You know-
dialed it back so it actually means something
Dude,
when we say
Okay,
it.
guys, this is what happens. All right, whenever we say that, one America ends and a new one begins.
That's true.
So I'm planting the flag right now. After watching this movie, boom, New America. This is the worst movie we've done on the show.
It's
Not a recommend.
No,
a-
clearly none of us recommend this movie.
It's a very close. I mean, I will say this: it is one of those things where you have to see it to believe it.
It is, but I will say this. I can't wait to do a live commentary of this somewhere.
Yeah,
There
I
isn't a
mean-
date booked or anything like this, but
It has.
it's
to
one of
have.
those movies where you're sitting there and you're just like, I could be making fun of that. I could be making
It's
fun
just
of that.
too much.
Oh, that's funny. I could be making fun of
Again,
that.
you need the Ocean's 11 team to
Yeah.
really go at this movie. You really
we need 12 different screenings in 12 different parts of the city just to cover all the horse shit that's going on in this movie.
So I mean, yeah, it's not a I'm right in the middle because I can't recommend it. I just really can't.
Yeah.
But you really have no idea what this is. It's so insane and just like so wrong-headed.
Well, here's the thing. I'll build the mystery back up for this movie. Hey, folks, does this movie actually exist? Maybe it doesn't. Find out for yourself if we've just been lying this entire time. Because it's so unbelievable that this is a movie. I thought when I saw the listing for it, I was like, well, this can't mean, when it says Easy Rider, the ride back, it can't mean the Dennis Hopper movie. It's got to be referencing something
I was
else.
certain it was a documentary about the making of the movie.
Yeah,
I was certain.
right?
That would
Something
make-
like
totally
that.
certain of that.
That title would make sense too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the real movie is, and we just
And maybe we've just been pulling the wool over your ears.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe Heathcliff doesn't star in this movie.
Well, they had me go until they started telling me that the guy's partner was an animated cat.
And it fell apart for me there.
Here's the recommendation. Pick up the BBS box set. Watch all of those movies 1,000 times. Because that is how you make movies with messages. You know
And
what I
then
mean?
if you have any time after that, maybe like watch 5 minutes of this. Just
Watch
to
that-
see the 9/11
yeah,
drop.
watch the first 5 minutes so you can see that heinous, disgusting 9/11 reference. That's Easy Rider, The Ride Back. From 2013, directed by Dustin Rikert. If you want to get a hold of us or find out more information about this show, check out our website, whmpodcast.com. We got a Facebook page. Like us on there or follow us on Twitter. We are at WHM Podcast. We are very involved in the social media community, so come chat with us on there. Write us an email if you'd like, weallhatemovies@gmail.com. And wherever you get the show, whether it's Stitcher, iTunes, whatever, please give us a rating and a review. Increase the profile of the show wherever it is you get it. It would help us out, makes you look pretty cool because you listen to the show. So, it's win-win for everybody. Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to draw attention to that part. Because people should rate and review. Hey, show's free, right? Huh? Maybe you say something nice about us, huh?
There you go. Say something nice about us on the internet.
Or
Fuck. All right, so we've been doing this now. I like getting in the habit of giving hints because let me tell you something. Our listeners are really good at picking up on the hints. So a hint for next week's movie.
It co-stars a Disney Channel persona.
Nice.
yeah, it works.
Eric, who was trying to think of his own hint, was dissatisfied with Chris's hint.
No.
It's okay.
The film in question stars someone who used to be a figurehead on the Disney Channel. We'll put it that way. And of course, remember, it's from 2013, so we'll be digging into that. And I guess you could say we're putting the pedal to the metal. See what I did there? Helping everybody, helping a little bit more. That's it for this week. Until next time, I'm Andrew Jupin.
Eric Siska.
Chris Gavin.
Take it easy.